the art of F.A. Chekki. I have been working on a piece here that is in the fantasy surreal series of 2019 through 2020, approximately through the spring of 2020, where we've done a number of pieces you may have seen in previous episodes. Not to mention the spacey looking scene last time with the rainbow kind of Pink Floyd album looking thing. And so we're doing this other piece here. I'm going to show you in a moment. I'm just going to finish up in this and just do a little detail on some metal work. Such a grueling piece. Talk about working on round things, straight things, getting it as accurate as I can. So please watch this episode and hopefully you get something from it. Please like, please subscribe. Tell your friends about us. 50%, half of all the money we make on the show will go to charities, including especially the arts, near and dear to me, and animal causes for endangered species, wildlife, and so on. So those are just a couple of the main causes we'd like to give to. So your views, if you make this big, we give. Okay, so I need your help. But before we get started, we're going to light the Bob Ross candle like we always do. Again, thank you for coming back to watch my show and giving us another try. Hope you enjoy this episode. And here in just a few minutes, I'll show you the painting. And hopefully you can learn a thing or two. Or just enjoy watching. All right. Here I am with the little shrine over there. I'm just holding this up. But it says, in painting, you have unlimited power, which is really cool. And the reason that's kind of cool that he said that is, that what you're doing in painting is creation, right? And in creation, gotta light this thing so hard. Okay, here we go. Got the candle lit. Little ritual every time I do my episodes. I do that, and I say, I'll get back to what I was saying before, but I always say I don't want to paint like Bob Ross, but I'm inspired by him, and if he inspired lots of people to paint, to do their own thing, whatever they're doing, man, that's a great painter in my mind. Even though in the art world, with the people that judge art and say what's expensive or priceless or in vogue or popular or worth investing in and this and all, the art world is its own thing. They value things based on their own methodologies. But to me, we still can honor painters in the art world who, like Bob Ross, did a tremendous thing for people, and that's he entertained, he taught, he taught a lot of people. Many people carry on his form of painting. I like doing a Bob Ross style painting every once in a while because it's just fun. But I do my own thing now, and I've developed my own thing beyond what he's done. When I say beyond that, it's just not what you see in the show. He's done some things, actually, portraits and other various artwork you don't see very often. You have to find it online, look it up. But he's an inspiration, and so I honor him with a good old Bob Ross candle, which I lit today. But I thought I'd talk about him a little bit because he's an important person to me, very important to me, and he deserves this little shrine in my art studio. Here's the piece I've been working on, and boy, has it been. It's been like, if I were to compare it to anything I've done, it'd probably be like that ship over there that you see with the, the detail. Look, that got grainy. But here you'll see that I'm trying to finish up this scale on top. And the challenge in that is a lot of this is line and perfection in my mind, I guess. And this sundial, I do have some touches to do. There's a few white spots that just haven't been fully painted. We got some acrylic underneath there. And some techniques I used to give it this stone-like look. more of like almost like a sandstone type of look. But I'm pretty pleased with how the sundial, which this is a painting with a little Easter egg in it. If you know what that sundial looks like, I don't want to ruin it, but that's the piece. And here I'm coming up, working a lot of geometrical shapes, of course. Don't mind the big phalanx in the middle. just it's part of the piece if you just read deeply into it. And actually a lot of deep meaning in this piece where we have time, space. Obviously we're in space, planet Earth. At least a view from it, or maybe at a point in time where it's mostly covered in water. Not much continent there. Maybe Pangea, maybe now, maybe future, who knows. There's a mystery here, but a balance that's slightly off. As you can see, one side of the scale is slightly up, but the time is moving quick, running out. So I thought I'd show you the piece. And what I'm working on here are these last lines in here, the scale parts in here. I use a variety of things to balance on my painting so I don't touch anything that's wet. I'll lean a stick up here. For instance, I made one of these actually, painter's rest, armrest. You know, I can rest it on there. If the paint isn't too wet, I can press it on something and hold it. And use that as to lean on, like with my hand. Okay, and I don't always buy this stuff because you can make it. Maybe I'll do an episode where I show you how to make it. I have a piece like this here, and the reason why there's a rope on the end, if you can see this piece, it's just a piece of a Swiffer mop that I could tie it on the back there and it'll lean. And so I can lean it on the canvas. These are just basic hand rests. That I've devised myself off of other things that are just like it. But that helps me to keep my hand where it needs to be. But you can see here the painting's not quite done, but there's a lot that has been done. And a few of the, oh my god, the brushes I've been using are just manifold. I'm gonna have to do some fix up on the planet right in there. You can see I've been covering up where I've gone outside the lines with the scale. We'll have to brush over that some to even out the blues. That's all in your touch-up phase. But a lot of the brushes I've been using are right here. And in particular, you know, smaller ones. I even have a one hair brush, or you can barely see the bristle on it. You can barely even see it. Yeah, it's not going to come in focus because there's not much there to look at. And I got some finer point brushes here, kind of like pencil brushes. I don't know, thin brushes, all kinds of thin brushes. And then for a little bit of blending here and there, I got this nice soft, like almost like a makeup brush to do some blending here and there. Which, like I said, up in here, you can, you know, the blending is part of the. After I go in and have to redo some things, I might blend it in with this. This is very soft, and it does some nice things there. I don't want to touch the scale very wet on there actually, but you know, it does some nice blending. And I don't always go straight into the what do you want to call it, the mineral spirits. I'll take like a rag or something and just kind of wipe it off, get that blue off of it, and just use an old rag. Look at all my stuff in this drawer, the big old mess. So you just wiped it off with a rag and got a lot of that paint off. So anyway, you can see kind of how soft this is. See how that is. I use that for blending. Then I have a ton of other tools in here that I use. There'll be some touches up as I go. But I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what this piece was like. And the techniques used, like I said, big time with things like this to rest up there as I'm trying to complete it and not touch some of the paint. I'm sure I've touched some parts of the canvas I can always fix up. But you can kind of get an idea when I work this stuff, what I'm doing. And don't know if I can position this how well with my camera, but I'm going to try it in such a manner that you might be able to see it on that one side. But I don't know, let's just do a little bit using this real thin brush in here. This canvas is going to be painted with a lot of different things. I'm using sort of some mixtures of golds and Naples yellow in here to get a lot of that brass look. And I can thin it down a little bit here. It helps when I do thin it down. It is starting to dry some because I've had this on here since yesterday. But that's okay. I like the dirtiness of it. I might add in, you can add a little raw umber to your Naples yellow. That makes like a kind of a goldish color. You can add in some raw umber. It just depends what your raw sienna. Raw sienna or Indian yellow. These things kind of give various things that appeal to the eye, give it a golder look to it. Quite a bit of gold on here as it is, and I use gold paint because it gives the actual look of gold. Here, this is more of a brassish color, more brassy, if that makes sense. And using some darker browns to fill in some stuff. So I've been really enjoying, I don't know why, this wood piece right here. I've been really using this a lot because it just kind of leans on here, and this thing is not very secure on here, I'll be honest with you. But I just need a little bit of rest here for my hands to go in. But as you can kind of see the movement here, where you can put something on there to hold yourself up. That way when you're working your paint, this definitely needs to be thinned a little bit. So I'll use a little bit of mineral spirits. Go back onto the brush. That when you're doing you're just doing about a centimeter at a time, really. And just kind of filling in the acrylic underpainting, which that's all acrylic in there. That was like just some Indian yellow, I think, that just I used. And I want to keep the straightness of these lines as best as I can. And light sort of permeating through from the sun, probably it's out beyond the lower left, coming up to some extent. So I got to keep that in mind, and where I put my dark color as well. And so, it's all about balancing the light. However, now as I go into the darker color, here I have some burnt umber and raw umber. Just kind of deciding where some shadows need to go in place. You probably can't see a whole lot. I'll pick up the camera here and point out where I've been working, but I've been working in this zone right there, all around up here too. I think one thing you'll find in doing works like this, unlike landscapes or other things like portraiture, is you're really painstakingly working these geometric shapes and lines, which lines are part of geometry. And you'd think in your head, well, I can use a tape to outline things, get straight lines that way, that works. But once you start doing this for a while, you're like, I don't want to do it that way. Which I still do sometimes. If you use little thin strokes, okay, when I say thin strokes, just lightly touching and going back and forth over that same spot, so to speak. you might be able to work the paint in some lines that kind of happen with the flow, okay? And if it comes out right, move on. You can go and fix it later. But you'll notice where certain things connect or don't in terms of your lines. Like there's this little spherical thing here that is holding two parts of the armature together. And so you want to make sure you're keeping with that line there. And keeping your lines straight by spotting it on there and just going back over it, I guess. That's where taking a step back from your painting really has value. They always say, well, you know, how often do you take a picture of it? Well, every, you know, stage I feel it's in, I take a picture and I'll look at it. That's a good tool too. The camera. Once you see your painting on camera in a photo, you'll be like, dang, I didn't see that. Because you're looking at everything all the time, or the part that you're working on, and the camera reveals a lot. So the camera's a tool too. Definitely a tool. And that's all we're working today. This is not really a huge episode on much, it's kind of much ado about nothing or something, right? Oh man, I don't even know how much you can see up there, but I'm trying. I'm trying to show you something, learn you a thing or two. Shut up, Frank. Just paint. It's not easy. This is not for the impatient painter that just wants to be done. It's not for that type of painter at all. It's for the painter that loves like building model ships, I would say. Because you could sit there for many, many hours with that tremendous detail. Working on the lines and the contours of the masts. What I mean that to say is when you're building these ships, I used to build model ships when I was a kid, and tremendous patience you needed to have to get it done right, because they were not sold with much instruction on some things. The basics you put together. You built the ship and then you're like, well, how do I paint that? We didn't have YouTube back then. There weren't that many shows about how to build model ships. So what you did is you just took your time and you thought it through. There's a bit of engineering involved in it and just problem solving. I think painting does that too, a little bit to the brain. Is force you to solve certain problems by maybe experimentation, doing it over again. So what? You have to redo a whole part of your painting. It's not the end of the world. But you're like, I spent 20 minutes on that part. Oh well. 20 minutes more. Then you get it the way you want it. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. And I know there's a lot of other artists that are too. I'm not saying I'm the only. There's nothing special about that with me, but I am. And I think it's reflective in the type of art that I do. Although no painting to me have I ever considered anything I've ever done perfect. Far from it. But yeah, we all have life goals, right? Maybe if my goal is to have one, in my mind, one perfect painting, and then I can die. It might take me a lifetime to get there. Such as the words of a person that is relatively unknown. But maybe if I'm anybody one day, even my kids. I preach to my kids, hey, don't settle for mediocrity. If you do something, do it fantastically on everything you do. Why be a loser type mentality and just say, okay, well, it's good enough? Why I say it's a loser mentality? Because good enough is never really all that great until you realize what good looks like from comparison and contrast. And you're like, wow. My good enough is so subpar to what I just saw someone else do. And so you strive to get better. Because it always starts with good enough. It always does. That's part of being a kid. So kids, you know you're not losers. I'm just saying. I'm saying this. I'm saying this. I'm saying as you progress in anything, your good enough is second best. Your good enough is third best. Good enough is fourth best. And you look and you watch other people do something you want to be good at. You might be watching a soccer player, basketball player, and you're like, man, I thought my good enough was good enough to be champion. And you're like, nope, that guy could take me on the court, school me. Same with painting. You look at a Da Vinci painting. I've talked about him before, like some of the most perfectly painted things, and you're like, man, that guy takes me to town. Just because of how perfect he got those things, because he strove for perfection. He said, he didn't think many of his things were perfect, but he strove for it. Today we look back and say, dang, that's close to perfect. That's seriously one of the most perfect portraits of a person, Mona Lisa, for instance. But just the meaning behind it, and it's the overall picture. It's all of it, the mind of the painter and the work itself. So anyway, subpar sometimes ain't good enough. So that's all we worked on today. This is just a short episode of The Art of F.A. Chekki. But I just want to bring you a little closer in, looking at the piece. This is just give you an idea of maybe something you maybe want to paint. But I worked on that armature here, coming down to there, worked the ball. And I used like a rest, a pedestal, not a pedestal, a press, or, a stick. What did I say? What am I talking about? Press. An arm rest, hand rest, painter's rest. I was just putting a stick up there, resting on that deal, Bob. Just a stick. I'm gonna have to go back through, I'm sure, and then up here you see a little bit of probably a little wear and tear on the paint. We can fix that easy, and that's okay. It's just the edge. If you're gonna use a frame, you're gonna get most of that anyways. That's some of the other pieces we've been working on the series. Kind of see back there behind another painting. Oh boy! But this is the piece, and I'm quite proud of the design on this. Is my design, with an Easter egg in here for some that may recognize what that is. I won't say, but I think Easter eggs are fun. You know who put Easter eggs in paintings? Da Vinci. Anyways, I'm gonna stop that right here and finish this vlog. Give you a good look at the painting there. And that is it for this episode, folks. Not a whole lot of painting. I'm more or less just showing a painting. Some might say I'm showing it off. I'm not. I want to show about metalworking. There's a lot of metal in this painting, both on the sundial, gold, brass, in the scales. A ton of fun. Talked a little bit about Bob Ross too, just how much of an inspiration. He's kind of back in the media again because he's being promoted in an art show. I believe there's going to be a tribute to his art, his teaching as a painter, as a teacher, artist, who inspired many people. And I hope my art might inspire you, or teach you, or give you something of enjoyment, whether it's educational or just entertainment. All good for me. Remember to tell everybody about the show. Please like, please subscribe, please share. Tell everybody about this, because 50%, half of all the proceeds of advertising and anything we generate off the shows will go to charity. The arts animal causes, animal rights, endangered animals, dogs that are needing homes. We want to raise money as a show, as a family. That's important to the art of F.A. Chekki and me, the artist. And I need you. I need you. I can't do it without you. So please, get us the views somehow by telling everybody, sharing it. Blast this stuff online. I'm asking you, I'm begging you, if you're watching this, please do that for me, because we can help a lot of people. But thank you for watching, and until next time, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope to see you again. Go out there and be the artist you were born to be the person you were born to be the creator you were born to be, because I can't wait to see anything that you want to share with me. If you send it to me or comment or email me, fachecki@gmail.com. I'd love to see it. So y'all take care, and I'll see you next time.